Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Batra, page 169, B, top of the page, with the words Amar Lahu, Be'alma Kosvin Shovar, V'ha'chayin Tamed Damaz L'Balchoi V'tarif Minei, Delokeach V'azol Yihu V'tarif L'Koiches, V'shavet Gabel Koiches Leka. Rav Papa or Rav Ashi said to them, "Do not draw this conclusion. It is possible that the Tana of the Batra holds that generally the court writes a receipt when a creditor has lost his promissory note. And here, this is the reason that it does not write a receipt, as perhaps the creditor, meaning the one from whom the property was stolen, will go and repossess property from the purchaser who bought the stolen land, and the purchaser seeking reimbursement in accordance with the guarantee will go and repossess property from other purchasers who had later bought property from the same seller. And the receipt will not help because it is not with the purchasers who bought property from the seller, but it is in possession of the seller himself. The purchasers, who are the ones who will suffer from the double collection, have no protection. They will in fact not even be aware that they are the victims of a double collection. Sof, l'koiches lav amri hadri. The Gemara asks, ultimately, don't these purchasers go back to the owner, meaning the seller of the land, to demand reimbursement? At that point, the seller will produce the receipt, exposing the double collection, and the entire process will be reversed, so that ultimately the purchaser who suffered from the unjust collection will obtain possession of his property. The Gemara answers, while it is true that ultimately the deception will be discovered, in the interim between the time the land was unjustly repossessed from the purchaser and the time when the injustice is reversed, the one who repossessed the land seizes the land and consumes its produce. In other words, he enjoys the profits produced by the land, and it will be difficult to receive full reimbursement for this stolen produce. Alternatively, the reason the opinion of writing a receipt for the seller of the land is not pursued here is that there is a concern about one who purchases land without a guarantee, as such a purchaser knows that he has no recourse to be reimbursed from the seller. If the land be bought is repossessed, he will never contact the seller and discover that the seller has a receipt and that he has been the victim of an unjust double collection. The Gemara asks, if so, the same concern should be taken into consideration in the case of promissory notes as well. And yet Rav Papa or Rav Ashi said that the Tana of the Batra concedes that a receipt may be written for the debtor to enable the collection of a debt in the event of the loss of the promissory note. Why are the aforementioned concerns not applicable to the case of debt collection? Hasam bezuzi masik amri paise bal choiv bezuzi hacha de ara masik meda yadi demand masik ara bezuzi lo mi payes. The Gemara answers there, where the debtor owes money, where the creditor seeks to repossess sold land, the purchaser of that land will say to himself, there is a possibility that the debtor appeased the creditor by paying him money. His debts are usually settled with money. I will therefore investigate the matter with the debtor before allowing the creditor to repossess my land, and at that point, the receipt held by the debtor will be discovered and double collection will be prevented. Here, where he owes land, as the issue is that the claim is based on reimbursement for having bought stolen land, the purchaser knows that it is not common for one who is owed land to be appeared with money in such cases. The purchaser will therefore allow his land to be repossessed and will seek reimbursement at a later time. Amar Mar chutz min ha'achrayos shebo hechi kazvinon Amar Rav Nachman tichsivi hachi shtara dinan de lo migave be lo mishabede velo mibnei choyre ela ki hechi de tekum achod v'yidei de lokea. The Gemara returns to the Braita and analyzes one of its statements. The master says that Braita, with regards to deeds of buying and selling land, the court may write a replacement document excluding the guarantee that was in the first document, that if the field is repossessed, the seller will compensate the purchaser for his loss. How do we write a bill of sale in such a way that it does not include this guarantee? Rav Nachman said that the case is one in which the court writes as follows: our deed is not intended to enable the collection of reimbursement in event of possession, neither collection from the lien property that has been sold, nor collection from unsold property. Rather, it is intended merely to ensure that the land is established in the possession of the purchaser. Amara from Zoy Soimeres, Achayus Tau Soiferhu. Tam in the cost of Lechachi, or Lokas of Hachi Gabi. Rafram says this statement from Nachman serves to say that the omission of the guarantee of the sale from a document is a scribal error. That is, it is assumed that when one purchases land, he expects to have his purchase guaranteed, and that if such a clause is not stated in this document, it is presumed to be a mere scribal oversight, and a guarantee is in effect. Rav Nachman said, in explaining the Braita, that the only reason a land purchase would not have a guarantee is that the scribe wrote this for him, meaning he wrote that there is no guarantee explicitly in the deed. This indicates that if the scribe did not write this explicitly for the purchaser, but left out the subject of the guarantee altogether, the purchaser would nevertheless have the guarantee and would be able to collect reimbursement from the seller in the event of repossession. Rav Ashi Amar Achrayus. Rav Ashi Amar Achrayus. Lav Tav Sofer Hu Umay Chutz Me'Achrayus Shebo Delokasav Be'Achrayus. Rav Ashi disagrees and says the omission of the guarantee of the sale from a document is not a scribal error. Accordingly, if mention of a guarantee is omitted from a bill of sale, there is in fact no guarantee. And what does the Braita mean when it says, excluding the guarantee that was in the first document? It means simply that in this case there was no clause about a guarantee written in it at all. The Gemara relates there was a certain woman who gave money to a certain man to act as her agent and purchased land for her. The agent went and purchased land for her, but he conducted the purchase in such a way that it was without a guarantee. The woman wanted to take action against the agent and come before Nachman to ask what recourse she had. Amarle, Rav Nachman said to the agent, "Litakoni shadartiach lo leavoisoi zil zibna mina shelo b'chrayus father zibna de'ele b'chrayus." Rav Nachman said to the agent, the principle with regard to an agent is that if he acts to the detriment of the one who appointed him, the one who appointed him can say, "I sent you to act for my benefit, not to my detriment." Therefore, the entire agency is null and void, therefore negating the purchase. Nevertheless, you agreed to purchase the land without a guarantee. Therefore, go yourself and purchase the land from him without a guarantee, and then sell it to this woman with a guarantee, so that you will reimburse her in the event the land is repossessed. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Oimer, Chanoisim Matano Lechavechoi, Vechziloyes Shtal, Chazar was a Chamoin Madrasa Kayemis. My time in the Rabban Shimon Gamliel, the Yoisinas, Ameloi, Sadezu, Nesun Elecha, Kol Zman Sheshtal Bedecha. The Gemara teaches that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, in the case of one who gives a gift of land to another, and the recipient return the deed to him, his gift of land returns to him as well. But the rabbis say his gift of land remains in the possession of the recipient. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel? Rav Asi says it becomes as if the giver said to the recipient, "This field is given to you only as long as the deed remains in your possession. Therefore, by returning the deed to the giver, the recipient is canceling the gift." Rabba objects to this. If that is so, that these are the conditions of the gift, then when the deed is stolen from or lost by the recipient, the gift should also be cancelled. Rabbi Rather, Rabbi said a different explanation. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and the rabbis disagree about whether or not the letters, meaning the contents of a promissory note, are acquired by merely transferring the document from one holder of the document to another. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel holds that the letters are acquired by transferring the document. Therefore, if the recipient returns the bill of sale to the giver, the land returns to the giver as well. And the rabbis hold that the letters are not acquired by transferring the document. The sages taught in a Braita with regards to one who comes to court to be judged over a claim that land is in his possession, belongs to another. If he claims ownership based on a deed, meaning a bill of sale, and claims further that he is the owner based on presumptive ownership of the land, as it was in his uncontested possession for 3 years, and he therefore does not need the deed as proof. His claim is judged based on the deed. This is the treatment of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says his claim is judged based on his presumptive ownership. And Michael Mimuki, the Gemara analyzes the Braita. With what regard do Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Anasi, and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel disagree? When Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he said they disagree. Ki asa Rav Dimi amar ba'osis niknais b'usira kamiflagi. When Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he said they disagree about whether or not letters are acquired by transferring the document from one holder to the document of another.